persistence of man's curiosity led him into new worlds. Without conquering his own, he invaded the outer world of space. It is said turnabout is fair play. But is it?
Dr. Morley.
Yeah?
Come and have a look at this. That's over 100 miles up, coming in from space.
Well, what's the speed?
Over 10,000 miles an hour.
Wait a minute, it's slowing down rapidly. It's undoubtedly a meteorite.
It must be a big one, then, to pick up on radar at that height.
It'll disintegrate as soon as it hits the Earth's atmosphere.
I hope so. At the moment, it's headed straight for London.
It's changing course.
Not only that, it's well inside the Earth's atmosphere now, and it hasn't burnt up.
But that's impossible. It means it's being guided down.
Height 10 miles. Must be visible to the naked eye.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. For the next hour, we will control all that you see and hear. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Came down last night. There must be something wrong with our instrument.
All right, gentlemen. It's quite safe to go in.
Good.
It's cold. It's freezing cold. Well, it must have a remarkable latent heat capacity. Capacity quite beyond my experience.
I hate to interfere with more mundane matters, gentlemen, but what is it?
We can't tell till we get it back to the laboratory.
You think that's what came down last night?
Oh, yes, no doubt about it. This must have been a white-hot mass of flames a few hours ago. Now its temperature's well below freezing.
The headquarters are bound to ask if it's of foreign origin.
At the moment, Major, your guess is as good as mine.
Do you notice the most amazing fact of all? We tracked that sphere through the atmosphere at a speed in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. Yet it landed without even denting the ground. That means it must have been guided down. Guided down with fantastic accuracy. Inhuman accuracy.
Now, don't put this down. I'm just thinking aloud. Origin's obscure in as far as...
Hold it.
Any news yet?
We're just finishing our preliminary examination.
And?
And?
We've carried out routine X-ray, spectrometer, and radiation tests. We find the sphere is made of an undetermined silicone-type material. This forms an exterior protective shell of 3 millimeters thick.
What's inside the sphere?
A lattice of carbon filaments.
But the bulk of the interior contains nothing but a vacuum.
What about radiation?
It's not radioactive.
It's not what the Geiger counter said.
The sphere itself emits no radiation at all. What was registered this morning on the Geiger counters was superficial.
Probably picked up by the sphere when it passed through the Van Allen straton, entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Can I take it from all this that this is not an atomic device?
You can rule out all thought of that, Major. It contains no fissionable material.
Well, that's a relief anyway. What about the country of origin? Whitehall's been on my tail all day. Well?
Well, we're not in a position to venture an opinion on that.
Well, sure, you must have some idea.
I think there's one thing we can say for certain, Major.
Yes?
We have no idea at the moment.
I see. Well, I'm going to report to Whitehall. Perhaps you'll be kind enough to come with me while I phone Dr. Morley. They might want to talk to you.
Yes, certainly. We're just finishing for the night, as it happens. Costin and I haven't slept for 36 hours. I'll follow you on, if I may.
Fine. Miss Barlow, Dr. Costin.
My word, that was close, I thought, for the moment.
Yes, sir. The less the military knows at this stage, the better.
Well, you see that it's locked away in the storeroom, Jack.
Uh-huh.
We'll see you both tomorrow, then. You know, when we do break it to them, we shall have to do it gently, so they can assimilate it.
Yes, it's possible we may have to do a little assimilating ourselves.
Yes. Its potentialities are quite alarming. We mustn't let our imagination run riot. Good night. Night. Night.
What is it? What's going on? Who sounded the alarm?
The young lady outside, I mentioned, sir.
Everything all right in here?
Yes, I sounded the alarm.
Why?
Well, there was something in here. There was. I swear there was.
You mean you actually saw something?
Well, saw this horrible claw and held onto my arm.
You there, Corporal Cooper.
Yes, sir?
You seen anyone come in or out of this window?
No, sir.
Have the ground searched, son, Hawkins?
Sure.
I know there was something in here.
Both these windows are fastened on the inside.
I don't care.
Were you in the laboratory all the time, Miss Barlow?
Yes. Yes, I was.
So nobody could have got in or out of this storeroom through the laboratory?
Can't understand it. I heard it distinctly. It didn't sound human. There was this strange breathing and then this hand.
Claw, you see.
Hand, claw, I don't know. It wasn't human. I did see it.
I think we better get you home, Miss Barlow. You need some rest.
You think I'm imagining the whole thing, don't you?
Just going on the facts as I see them, Miss Barlow. If anything or anyone had been in this storeroom, then they'd still be in here. Wouldn't they?
Wait, I've forgotten all the excitement. Just before I heard these noises, I felt strange. Yes, I almost fainted with a terrible pain in the head.
That's probably your answer. A migraine. You suffer from it?
No, and this light. The light, this blinding light.
Light?
Yes, coming from in here.
Come on. We'll get you home.
And that's exactly how I found it.
That's a pretty grim-looking thing.
I think I was so close to it.
I don't think you were in any danger, Miss Barlow.
Why do you say that?
Well, it stands to reason, doesn't it? I mean, this print couldn't have been made by an animal, could it?
Not in any animal I know.
And it must have been made by man.
A man?
I think that you were the victim of a practical joke, Miss Barlow. It's the only other explanation.
Practical joke. Look, I was
By
there.
my men.
You think some of them staged this little charade?
Barracrum gossip, you see, is that this thing came from out of space. I believe they're even betting on it with Mars an odds-on favorite. It's ridiculous, I know, but you always get rumors flying about among the men. I'm sorry about the shock that it must have caused you.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose it's a fairly rational explanation.
It's the only possible explanation. If you'll excuse me, I'll go and parade the men. Give them some PT, work off some of that excess energy. Reminds me of the story of the two sergeants who...
Rational explanation, rubbish. Do you really think it was a practical joke?
Well, it is a possibility.
No, of course not.
Why not?
Because the Major himself said that no one could have got in or out of that locked room.
So?
So who stopped Dan from opening the door last night? Who held the door from the other side? Whose footsteps did she hear? What about this claw she tells us about? And how did the thing get out of that room by the time the soldiers arrived? Now, let's not kid ourselves. We all know it has something to do with the sphere. And I think for everyone's safety, we'd better find out what. And find out in a hurry. You ready, Ann? Well, they start at 5,000, and then work up to 20.
7/4 at 5,000. 362 at 10,000. 10 minus at 0.07. 864 at 20.
How are you getting on?
Just finished.
And?
Well, as far as I can tell, it's an energy valve of complex and fantastic ingenuity.
It's so complex, we can only theorize. It's quite beyond my knowledge.
It works as a powerful oscillator on the bench circuits.
It responds to stimuli throughout the electromagnetic spectrum.
Throughout the spectrum. But how does it maintain equilibrium?
Well, at the moment, I can only suggest that the selenium shell acts as a thermionic buffer and keeps the electrodes at their critical temperature.
Go on.
Well, the base control seems to be the source of a fluctuating magnetic field.
Then it could act as an automatic monitor and control the input ratio.
Yes, that's why I suggest that it's an energy valve.
Good. I had a call today from the BBC Radio Monitoring Service. They wanted to know if we were doing any experiments with high-frequency transmitters last night. They were trying to trace the source of some bad interference which cut the radio and television reception. I told them it was nothing to do with us.
Well, what time was this interference?
About 9 for about 10 minutes or so. And it happened again later.
Just about the time I left for home. And you felt ill soon afterwards, didn't you, Ed?
Yes, that's right.
This is an energy valve of incredible power. Of power quite beyond our comprehension. As far beyond it as atomic energy would have been to a 15th century alchemist. Now, I think that power was switched on last night.
To transmit messages back to where it came from.
No, not a message and not to transmit. It was switched on to act as a receiver at 9 o'clock last night. Well, you see what it does? What its function is?
It receives matter?
Yes.
Do you mean the transmutation of matter? Transmitted from some other planet, received by the sphere and converted into its original form?
Meaning?
We've had a visitor from space, Anne.
Well, now will you admit that I did see something last night?
No, wait. We're still only theorizing.
I go along with Jack. Nobody believed me last night.
All right, we'll accept it for the moment. But where did this creature go when Anne sounded the alarm?
Well, back into space, possibly. But what's more important is what did it come for? And will it return?
Cooper! On the roof with 3 men and 2 machine guns. Bellows! Guard the west side of the building. Front gate picking in position, sir! Right. Throat mic comfortable?
Yes, I think so.
Field telephone to the laboratory ready, sir.
Radio circuit to the laboratory ready, sir?
Check the amplifier circuit.
Yes, sir.
Right, I'm ready.
I wish you'd let me do this, sir.
Now, I'm sorry to pull rank on you, Jack, but I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Well, good luck, then. Good luck.
Oh, thank you.
I still think this is a fantastic lot of nonsense, but I'd be a lot happier if you'd let a couple of my men come with you.
No, thank you.
Now, let's go then.
Right.
Marshal! Right, sir. Right. Outside, you two! And the whole car move! Excuse me, sir.
What? Oh.
You try it, man.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, testing.
Coming through loud and clear, sir.
You'll be all right?
Yes, and don't forget, under no circumstances are you to interfere.
Good luck, Doctor.
Thank you. I'm switching off the main lighting now. That'll enable me to see any visible change in the sphere at the earliest possible moment.
Okay, you can start it.
sphere is starting to activate.
It's Jan, sir. Switch over to the direct line.
It's growing in brightness. Light is brilliant. There seems to be something that's affecting the human body. I feel very great pain in my head. The sphere must be emitting a radiation that is injurious to the human being. I suggest, I urge, that everybody keeps clear till we know more about its effect. It's incredible. Incredible. The sphere's changing. It's growing unbearable. No good. I can't stand it any longer.
I'm going to get him out of there.
Major, leave him alone. We never expected this would be pleasant. He can walk out any time he wants to, so you must leave him alone.
Even with my back to it, the light is beyond human endurance to cover my eyes. Pain in my head is intense.
It's beyond your jurisdiction now, Doctor. Stand aside.
Major, Dr. Morley asked to be left alone. We must respect his wishes.
My glasses. Glasses. No.
Stop.
Help me. Help me. Help me.
Poor devil. Sphere.
It's gone.
You two, Sinclair, Roberts, get over to the west wing.
Sergeant, what happened?
Here,
Two of the men thought they saw someone jump from the storeroom window, sir.
And?
They challenged him, but he ran off. A couple of minutes later, I spotted him. I opened fire.
Yes?
Well, I could have sworn I hit him.
sign of him yet?
But he just disappeared. 1 minute he was there, next minute nothing.
Well, didn't you see him clearly?
No, sir. All I saw was a sort of a black shape.
Major, sir, this way, please.
Cover the gate, son. Sir.
Come in. Ah, Dr. Costain. Good of you to come along. I'm Superintendent Hartley. Sit down, won't you? Doctor, do you mind if I start off by asking you a question?
By all means.
How well did you know your former colleague, the late Dr. Morley?
Not very well. I learned in a very short time to respect him and to trust him a great deal. Had he survived, I'm sure he could have told us something about the creature. What he looked like. What his purpose was here on Earth.
You've seen this, have you?
Yes, of course. I'm afraid I've stirred things up a little bit by giving my story to the press, but it seemed to me the only way to get all that's happened into the limelight.
Ah, yes. When a story like yours breaks, mind you, here at the Yard, we view the whole thing with incredulity. Still, we can't afford to ignore anything, no matter how far-fetched. Particularly these days, so much going on in the world, isn't there?
In the universe, yes, it's been going on all the time. Right now, we're finding out about it.
Look, I've got a list here of the names of all the girls who've disappeared. And, you know, with one or two exceptions, not one of these girls has any known living relative. And this fact seems to fall into line with your theory, doesn't it? Oh, by the way, just for the record, what do we call him? Man, creature, thing?
Anything. Smith. Jones.
Smith. Good. Now, how did you arrive at a connection between Smith and these missing girls? In simple language, if you please, Doctor.
I thought the press were fairly explicit. Smith has been seen. Vaguely described, I'll admit, but seen, standing outside the homes of some of the missing girls.
So Smith either murdered these girls or spirited them away.
Taken them back into space.
For what purpose?
I don't know.
Yes, well, it's a pretty long shot, isn't it, Doctor?
Yes, it is.
Can I ask you a somewhat pertinent question?
Yes, go right ahead.
You seeking publicity?
If that were asked by anybody but a police officer, I'd clobber it.
I'm sorry.
Look, Superintendent, please get this straight. I gave my story to the press purely in the hope of getting police cooperation.
We are not scientists, Doctor.
I know, but somewhere along the line there must be a bridge between science and criminal detection. If you accept my premise that Smith murdered these girls, or abducted them, or whatever, then we must work together.
Yes, well, I've been given permission to work with you. Where do you want to start?
I'm glad. I received a letter this morning from a woman named Madge Lilburn. She's got a daughter that's been missing for 3 days.
There's one thing you ought to know, though, sir. I know what you must be thinking, but really, Jean isn't the sort of girl to go off without a word like that,
Never
is
has
she?
been, no.
You know, she's a considerate girl.
Always been proud of her, you know.
Yes, I'm sure. Did you know where she was going?
Well, it was a secret, you see. See, she was going after this very good job. Wouldn't tell us about it.
No, she didn't tell us what it was.
But she was very excited about it all, wasn't she?
She was.
Any idea what sort of a job it was?
No.
No.
I'm sure it's all something to do with that horrible man.
What man?
Well, one night last week, there was a ring at the door.
It was Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, it was my lodge night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was Thursday, that's right. Well, there was this ring at the door.
Madge was all alone, you see.
I was all alone.
Well, I begged her to let me get her a dog, you know, Alsatian or something. But she won't have it, you know. She says it mucks up the furniture. Go on, dear. Tell him about the man. They haven't got all night, have they?
Wouldn't I?
Other calls to make.
Well, anyway, it was Thursday. There was this ring at the doorbell. Well, I was alone in the house, as Reg says. I was quite surprised, really. I was a bit scared because, well, we don't get visitors very often at night, you know, not during the week. Well, except Frida, she sometimes pops in, but I knew it couldn't be her. She'd gone down to Crawley. She told me she was going. Well, anyway, it was Thursday. I was all alone, as Reg says. There was this ring at the door. Yes? Who is that? What is it? What do you want?
Mrs. Lilburn,
Yes?
is your daughter in?
Oh, no, I'm afraid she isn't. Do you want to see her?
I have a parcel to leave her.
Oh, well, I'll take it. Come on, then. I don't want to stand here all night. It's cold. Give me the parcel.
Good night, Mrs. Lilburn.
Good night. Oh, he gave me the creeps, though, I can tell you that. Standing there in the shadows. He did have a nice voice, though, I must say that.
And you think this man may have had something to do with your daughter's disappearance?
I'm certain of it.
Major, shouldn't say
What
Well,
makes you say that, Mrs. Lilburn?
Well, there was this packet he left for her.
Oh, what was in it?
Well, it's a
Photograph.
photograph of Jean.
Well, it wasn't very flattering.
Well, it was sort of artistic, you know. It was in colour, you see. And, well, I'd never seen one like it before. It was one of these new ones.
What do you mean, new?
Well, it was...
Funny, wasn't it?
It was. I'd never seen one like it before. It was made of a sort of plastic, you know.
Well,
in 3D, you know.
3D.
May we see the photograph, Mrs. Lilburn?
I'm afraid not. No, she took it with her when she went to the interview. I remember her saying, I mustn't forget to take the photograph. She said, Mr. Medra wants me to take the photograph.
Medra?
Oh, fancy me forgetting that. That's his
Oh,
name.
honestly,
That
you
was
ought to
his
have
name.
told
So
them.
she went to see a Mr. Medra.
Yes.
So how did you come to meet him in the first place?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, you know what I think, Madge? I think she got it out on that magazine.
Bikini Girl?
Yeah.
Miss Malone?
Mr. Medra? Mr. Medra?
Come closer, Miss Malone. There is nothing to be afraid of. Are you afraid of me?
No, I'm not really.
Sit down, please. You must remember that no harm will come to you. No harm will come to you. No harm will come to you.
Any luck?
Records have nothing on Medra, sir.
What about Interpol?
No, nothing like that, sir. I've checked all the photographers as well. No one called Medra.
I might have found something. Look at that ad.
Independent television film producer requires talent. Young ladies with looks, personality and ambition needed. Please write with recent photograph to box 968.
There's not much to go on, I know, but it's worth checking. Go around the missing girls' homes.
Tonight, sir?
Yes, tonight.
Yes, sir.
I have, man. How do you do?
Good. Well, now sit down. Let's get started. Have you anything to report?
I think we'll get him tonight, sir. He's expected to pick up some more replies to the advertisement at 6:30. I'll have the whole area surrounded, and when he turns up, we'll be waiting for him. If he goes to that shop, we'll catch him. There's no man alive can get through the net I'm spreading for him.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, Medra is no man alive. In many respects, he is superhuman, not born of this planet. You're not just up against a criminal mind. We're fighting an alien civilization, one at least 100 or maybe 1,000 years in advance of ours. Let's show the man.
This is a map of the planetary system. Here's the sun with its 9 major planets. Earth is the 3rd planet. This is the 5th planet, Jupiter, the giant planet with its 12 moons. And this, gentlemen, is where Medra comes from. Jupiter 3, the 3rd moon, known to astronomers as Ganymede.
Now, wait a minute. Just let's assume that Medra did come from outer space. How can you possibly know that it was from Jupiter 3?
As you know, we've been examining a sphere at Paisley Park. We've been able to collate enough evidence to prove that it was an energy valve of incredible proportions. A valve which is the slave of a master system, the whole of which is used to transmit and receive matter.
But why Ganymede?
We've been tracking intense radioactivity on our radio telescopes for a month now. We have cross-references enough. The master transmitter is on Ganymede, and we can produce 50 other scientists and astronomers to prove that as well.
Yeah, well, why has he come to Earth? Why is he involved with these missing girls?
That's what we're trying to find out.
One possible explanation might be that they're being abducted for experimental purposes.
Genetic experiments, do you mean?
Yes. The investigation of man under laboratory conditions.
Insemination would be a simple matter for a science like theirs.
Don't forget one thing. Medra is laboring under great difficulties, too. He's in a foreign environment, like a diver under the sea.
We think he has to wear a special kind of breathing apparatus built into a mask to cope with our atmosphere.
Yes, I see.
Gentlemen, I have a suggestion to make. Well, it's not a suggestion, it's a fait accompli. I have applied to Medra for an interview.
You've what?
I'm meeting him tonight, at the place where you hope to trap him, at Thorben's bookshop.
You'll do no such thing, Anne.
Look, Jack, you need information, don't you? You need his knowledge. Without that, all your work will be wasted. The kind of threat we believe he is will grow. You need someone to find out what he's about before the police get him. Because I don't think he'll be taken alive.
I can't agree with that, Miss Barlow. But the idea does make sense, Doctor.
It's easy enough for you to say, but it's not your life she's risking. Anne, I can't agree to it.
I'm not under your jurisdiction in this matter, Jack, so no one's going to stop me. Just give me a few minutes with him, that's all.
We gave Dr. Morley a few minutes.
I know. But Medra must have known that Dr. Morley constituted a direct threat to him.
But so would you.
I don't think so. Just a few minutes, Jack. Please.
Now, after all, I don't see she can come to any harm. The place will be well guarded. We'll be less than a stone's throw away from her. Typical of Thorburn to leave the door unlocked. Lazy brute.
Miss Barlow. Miss Barlow. Why did you ask for this interview?
I was interested in your advertisement.
You are a professional model.
Yes?
I'm afraid I don't believe you. Look in my eyes.
I said I'd give her 3 minutes.
Yes, with Medra.
In the shop, with or without Medra. 3 minutes, and there's only 2 left.
No sign of her.
I wish I could be sure of that.
You are frightened of me, aren't you?
Yes, I'm frightened.
That's how I know you're lying. Only those who wish me harm become frightened. Now tell me the truth.
I came to see you to ask your purpose in visiting the Earth.
And to learn the secrets of my planet, Ganymede. What else did you come here for?
To find out what has become of the girls you abducted. We scientists have tried not to accept the idea that you wish to destroy. We believe that you are of a civilization and intelligence 1,000 years in advance of ours. Yet you do destroy. Haven't you learned the futility of violence?
We have suffered from violence just as you have. We try to be gentle.
I want to know
Yes?
what happened on your planet.
We interfered with the laws of the universe, just as you are attempting to do now. We found it impossible to suppress the emotions of love and hate, so we slipped back into the dark abyss. The problem of life is that there is always an enemy who will kill or be killed. There is always someone to fear.
You have no need to fear me.
On the contrary, I fear what I cannot control. And I cannot control an intelligence that is almost equal to mine. A mind such as yours searches and destroys.
Anne!
You're right. He was here all the time. Grant, get your men to search every square inch of this area. I want a ring around the whole of Soho. I'm sorry.
It's evident that we're dealing with a creature not only of superhuman intelligence and power, but one also possessing a primordial lust for violence and savagery. Also, gentlemen, it's my opinion that Medra could be the forerunner of a full-scale invasion.
You mean there's no limit to the number that can be transferred here by this device?
No, none at all. That's why it's imperative that we track down that sphere and destroy it before it's too late.
How do we locate it?
Well, when it's in use, it emits secondary radiation.
What about radio detector ends?
No, they're not in the same radio spectrum. Wait a minute, it's the same spectrum. A different method. If we use something more powerful than a radio detector band, we could pick out the spots that were made negative and find it by a process of elimination. But we'd need the cooperation of every radio astronomy establishment in this whole country.
Well, I can promise you all the help you can use.
Well, you think it'll work? It all depends on whether we can find and set the wavelengths of the sphere. If we can, and we need to do it fast, we can plot the position from our monitors. The Jodrell Bank radio telescope, the American radar early warning system at Filingdale in Yorkshire, there in Cornwall, here in London. If and where the lines converge will be the site of the sphere. After that, sir, it'll be up to you.
Every army combat unit in the south of England is standing to. I only hope it's enough.
And you say it was a strange interview?
I must say I was a bit scared at first. It was this beautiful suite of offices, you see, with no one in them. And then the door opening without any warning. Of course, I realized it was worked by some kind of remote control, but they make you jump when they open all the same.
And this Mr. Medra, did he threaten you?
Well, you'll think this is funny, I know, but I can't remember him. I remember standing in this room asking if he was there, and I remember his voice speaking. It was a wonderful voice. Kind and soothing. Do you know what I mean?
And you don't remember this being taken, huh?
No, the first I knew about it was when this man rang my bell and handed it to me. I told you about that.
It seems a perfectly ordinary photograph to me.
Well, not to me, it isn't. It's so lifelike. And the background seems to alter.
Alter? Well, how do you mean alter?
Well, sometimes when Oh, forget it. It's just my imagination.
And you don't remember anything at all about the interview?
Nothing. The only thing I remember after Mr. Madra's speaking was being in the street outside his office.
Yeah, well, perhaps it'll come back to you later. I'm having your flat watched, Mr. Malone, so if you see some men hanging about, don't be afraid.
I can't believe I could be in any danger from Mr. Major there.
It's just why you are in danger. Because you don't believe it.
No luck at Medra's office, sir. It's deserted.
Did you leave somebody outside?
Yes, sir. How'd you get on with the Malone girl?
No, she didn't tell us a thing we don't already know. I've got a feeling, though. I think Medra will make a move for her tonight. We're staying put. I know that, sir, but I would like to keep this girl on surveillance.
Just follow Medra if he shows, Hartley. We must find this sphere, locate and destroy it. Keep in constant touch.
Very good, sir.
Sir. Yes? What? Medra's just picked up another girl. Don't lose him, Hartley. Lieutenant, keep this line open and mark the route.
Message coming through from Jodrell Bank, sir.
What is it?
They've started to pick up a signal from the sphere, sir. No direction obtainable at present strength. Farlingdale's picked up the signal, sir.
Well, it's all up to Hartley now.
I hope he can keep out of sight.
I don't think it matters. Major knows he's being followed, and I don't think he can.
Hartley?
We're heading through Guildford. Looks as though they're making for the Hogsmeade.
Hartley, as soon as you have your men positioned, trap it, and if need be, shoot to kill.
Wait a minute, Commander. I don't think I made myself clear. We're trying primarily to destroy the sphere, not Medra. I must have an opportunity to communicate with him. After that, I don't care what you do. Don't you see, if we can separate him from the sphere or destroy it, we'll eliminate his only means of mobility. He'll be as helpless as a genie without a lamp.
Aren't you being a bit rash?
Please, Commander, do what I say.
I'll do my best, but you'll have to leave it to our discretion.
Message from Jodrell
Hartley,
Bank, sir.
now listen carefully.
They have a bearing, green 7451.
All right, keep at it.
I've got a signal now.
Farlingdale has a reading, sir. Blue 857.
Well, that's about 10 miles from here.
Position now reported, sir. Village of Rusley.
All right, let's go.
Where are you going?
I'll look for the girl.
Stay here.
Surround this place.
Corporal, set the men so every exit is guarded.
Sir!
In a few minutes, I shall be returning to my planet. Nothing you do can stop me. My task here on Earth is completed.
Tell us about your planet, Medra.
1,000 years ago, we made our first stumbling steps into space. We visited the Earth, only to find we could not survive its atmosphere. But we from Ganymede knew that we were superior beings and had nothing to learn from you. We had knowledge that could lead to eternal peace and progress, but also embodying the darker powers of universal destruction. So our civilization ended, just as yours will end.
But there were survivors.
A few. And they were terrible to look upon. It took centuries of procreation before signs of normality began to appear. A hand like this, instead of this. My face? You would like to see it, perhaps? It is quite typical.
Is that why you came to Earth? To find new blood?
You have no need to fear for the young women who are returning with me. They will come to no harm. You see, we have learned our lesson. One day I may return, if it isn't too late.
Let's hope they find a cure. And tell us.
In all the universe, can there be creatures more strange than the species called man? He creates and destroys. He fumbles and makes mistakes. But the thing which distinguishes him is his ability to learn from his mistakes. We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to the outer limits.